Hello everyone. Good morning even. I was inhaling oxygen when I thought it might be a fun idea to recount the lies of man. Besides, what else am I supposed to do right after waking up? I once lived off random family breakfast for a month and nobody questioned it. A while back I was broke, hungry and desperate. I'd already burned through all the obvious free food hacks. Costco samples, hotel lobbies, church potlucks. Then I had the dumbest idea that somehow worked. Every morning I'd just walk into random houses around my neighborhood. Not breaking in or anything, just slipping in when a door was ajar, or when a garage was open, or I'd follow a dad grabbing the paper and just nod like I belonged. The trick was confidence. I'd head straight to the kitchen, mumble a casual morning, and sit down like I'd been living there my whole life. Pancakes, eggs, toast, whatever was on the table, I was eating it. Nobody ever questioned me. Families just assumed I was like a cousin, a visiting exchange student, or maybe the kid's weird new friend who crashed the night. I got so good at blending in, I even developed roles. In one house, I was quiet guy who drinks black coffee. In another, I was the cousin who doesn't talk much but always grabs extra toast. I once buttered 6 biscuits in silence while the entire family argued about carpool schedules and not a single person looked twice at me. Ah yes, I too am familiar with the norm of letting exchange students in your home to eat breakfast. I mean look, in my house, whether you're related or not, I'm gonna need a warning. I can be quite ravenous after I wake up. There's no telling what'll happen if an unknown sack of meat is there when I'm trying to get to the fridge. I don't know if I'll leave that in or not. In all seriousness, I think I or basically anyone would notice if their uncle was already downstairs eating eggs before they could even get to the fridge. Heck, I would buy Eggos and probably look forward to it the next morning. And if that box is already open when I peek into the freezer, you bet there will be investigations. Like, you're not gonna just sit there like your furniture, and I'm not gonna notice you eating my Eggos. Related or not. Today I went to the dentist and there was only one man in the waiting room. Shrek 2 was playing and we both watched the whole movie, waiting for someone to call us in. But nothing. When the movie ended, the man stood up and called my name. He was the dentist. This reads like a Far Side comic. Look, realistically, could you imagine the havoc that would be going on in that waiting room? People don't even want to be there. Shrek 2 is a mere fleeting distraction from the fact that the holes emerging in your teeth are about to get bored into with a drill. Imagine sitting there for approximately 2 hours. People would be tearing the walls down in that waiting room. You'd walk into there for your appointment and there'd be pitchforks. And God forbid the dentist is actually sitting out there like in this story. He'd get torn apart. For no reason, I just thought of the time some guy I was dating got hired to dog sit for a well-known filmmaker. Then my BF took me with him once and I was surprised that the apartment was super nice but also like relatively normal. Then we found out it was the dog's apartment. Sure, Melissa. It doesn't sound like the dog was supervised in this story, at least she didn't mention it. Like, she didn't mention there being a handler in there. So could you imagine the poop smell that would emerge from that apartment? That poor dog. He'd be left in there. Hours. Days even. You know, I'm about to reach out for a deep reference here. If anybody played Herbs for the PS2, as soon as you got the dog for your apartment, that thing was like a geyser of pee. I don't even think it's realistic to how frequently dogs normally go, but I'm just thinking about it now. It peed on my floor like every 2 minutes. It was so bad, I just wouldn't go home for that reason. Then eventually I discovered Action Replay and that I could actually just sort of move the dog so that it's outside, and it would just stay in one space peeing infinitely. Now look, I understand if you want to call Animal Protection Services, but this was 20 years ago. You're too late. My dad just called and said, "I see you. Last one to Papa's Pizza loses. He's going 90 and a 55, gets pulled over. I'm dying because he's gonna get a ticket and I'm gonna win. Next thing I know, this man flies by me and is getting a police escort to Papa's Pizza. I'm so done." Wow, where does this guy live? The police in my area usually don't want to endanger all traffic safety to escort a guy to get pizza. In the story, this guy was flying. Like, can you imagine this guy's flying and getting a police escort? So that's like several cars going at least 70. Like the world's most dangerous parade. Even if we were to move over into another reality where people commonly snort pancake syrup, did he bribe the police with pizza? That's the only way I'd see it happening over there. And then imagine paying like $500 in pizza just to dunk on your son. In retrospect, I'm not sure if that would be stupid or based. The autistic boy grabbed my leather vest and screamed for 40 minutes straight while his mother tried desperately to pry his fingers off me in the McDonald's parking lot. I'm a 68-year-old biker with more scars than teeth, and this random kid had latched onto me like I was his lifeline, shrieking every time his mortified mother tried to pull him away. She kept apologizing, tears streaming down her face, saying he'd never done this before, that she didn't know what was wrong with him, and that she'd call the police if I wanted. Wow. The other customers were filming us, probably thinking I'd done something to upset the boy, while his mother begged him to let go of the scary biker man. Then he suddenly stopped screaming and said his first words in 6 months. "Daddy rides with you." His mother went completely white. Her legs gave out and she collapsed onto the asphalt, staring at my vest like she'd seen a ghost. That's when I noticed what the boy had been gripping so tightly. The memorial patch on my vest that read, "Rip Thunder Mike, 1975 to 2025. The kid looked me straight in the eyes. Something his mother later told me he never did with anyone, and said clear as day, "You're Eagle. Daddy said find Eagle if I'm scared. Eagle keeps promises." I had no idea who this kid was. I'd never seen him or his mother before in my life, but apparently Thunder Mike, who'd been dead for exactly 3 weeks, knew exactly what he was doing when he taught his son to recognize my patch. The mother was now sobbing uncontrollably, trying to explain through her tears. "My husband, Mike, Continue reading in the comment. I don't think we need to do that to know that this is bogus. I like the touch of the mother offering to call the police on her son for crying. That is the most parental response of all time. Also, I like to imagine this guy actually standing there for 40 minutes with some boy clasped onto his shirt and screeching in his face. For it to take 40 minutes for this mother to pry her kid off this guy to no avail, that kid must have crazy grip strength. His fingers are actually the jaws of life that firefighters roll out to free people from wrecked cars. Also, I don't really know how much the autism adds to this story. I guess it's supposed to add to the impact of the moment when he advances 6 years mentally and identifies him as Eagle, the mythical legend of which his father foretold. Anyway, that's how I pulled out of the McDonald's that evening with a son. I then made a serious face and walked towards him, almost like I was about to punch him. He got shit scared in his eyes. Then I walked past him. Couldn't do much, but should have done something. I like to imagine this on a billboard. You'll be just driving at the freeway and then read this thing. And then you'll either collide with a barrier or just be immensely confused. There's no in between. In 3rd grade, we had a prison guard do a scared straight speech, and we asked what the prisoners ate. He said nothing good. McDonald's burgers. And when he saw our faces light up, he said, "Yeah, but imagine that 3 times a week." That was when he lost control of the room. The children, they overwhelmed us with their numbers. It was awful. There was nothing we could do. They tore everything apart. The room was Bobby. I don't know. The room was Bobby. Bobby. But anyway, that was when the principal quarantined the whole school by putting that dome on it from the Simpsons movie. He just said Lamau and then blew it up with explosives. It was for the best. Today I fricked up by hitting reply all and somehow saving the day. So last Friday at work, I got one of those company-wide emails from upper management. It was the usual corporate nonsense. "We value your input. Let us know your thoughts." I was annoyed, so I typed a sarcastic reply to the coworker. "Yeah, I'm sure they really care about what we think. You know where this is going." I hit reply all. To everyone. My heart dropped. Hundreds of people. Even the CEO. I was ready to start drafting my resignation letter when something crazy happened. People started replying. First person said, "Finally, someone said it." Then another one added, "Honestly, we've been asking for years, and nothing changes." Within an hour, my inbox was exploding. Turns out, half the company had been bottling up frustrations, and my accidental email was the spark. The CEO sent out a follow-up saying they were scheduling an actual listening session with employees. The CEO eventually sent a follow-up saying they were scheduling an actual listening session with employees. So yeah, I technically screwed up, but somehow became the unintentional hero of office morale. Still terrified me to open my inbox tomorrow, though. Too long didn't read? I'm probably getting fired tomorrow. Anyone who's ever even had their CEO visit their corporate chain store where they work knows that this is a sack of lies. To save money, they force the people who actually do the work to use Windows XP. They're making them use copiers from 10 years ago. Heck, if even middle management in one of those stores has to send an email, they do it by carrier pigeon. It's a lot cheaper than replacing the typewriters, so they have to scribble it on paper themselves. Actually, when I came in, they just kind of had me sit down on a chair and started hoisting me over to the CEO. They were chanting, "Give this man your job. Give this man your job." The CEO got really scared and then decided to let me have his job. So yeah, it was actually quite the opposite of getting fired. My Uber ride was $100. I asked the driver, "How much are they paying you?" He says, $35. I said, "Cancel that ride. Here, I got $50 cash. Looks like we both winning." That felt really good to be helping out somebody in need. But then I developed a quite peculiar addiction. I couldn't stop giving drivers money. They didn't even have to be Uber drivers. I gave $30 to a guy stopped at a crosswalk. Hell, I gave $20 to a guy on a bike. I even gave $40 to a little boy in a wagon. My wife won't look at me anymore. I can't even afford gas. When I turn the key in the ignition, the car just claps. Thoughtful boys. My oldest son will be 20 in August. Made and keeps a girl kit in his car for his GF or his female friends. He has hot hands for makeshift heating pads, My Doll, pads and tampons, various sizes of new undies and shorts. T-shirts. He says so they can have a whole new outfit if they gotta go through the hassle of using this bag and needing to change. And sugary and salty snacks. He changed his closest male friends' outlooks on female hygiene as well. And now there are at least 5 young men in our local area who are stocked up and prepared to help any female out of a potentially embarrassing and uncomfortable situation. I'm so proud of all these boys. He's even began giving sermons about the female body. Look, I'm a guy, so I can't really speak much on the matters of women, but what few I do know would probably be hesitant about taking underwear from strange men. Reminds me of the time my friend, who I didn't know gave a shit about animals, told a story. He was at a barbecue with friends, at a public park, and a dog came up wanting food, to which they obliged. They were done cooking and a group of cholos rolled up next to them. The dog runs over to them for food, and one of the guys kicks the dog hard. My buddy runs over, and before his friends see what's going on, he grabs the dude and grills his face on their barbecue in front of all his gangster friends, and then walks away. I was dumbfounded and knew my buddy wasn't someone to fuck with. He said they rolled up next to them. I like how this ambient cholo apparently hates dogs so much he'll get out of his car to kick them. Now, the story isn't really specific about whether he was driving the car or not, but imagine if he was driving the car. Like, they were probably going somewhere. Like, his friends are just like, dude, the Pizza Hut's gonna close, what are you doing? And he's like, there's a dog existing over there, I have to kick it. And that's what he does. This guy was born to be a Yakuza antagonist. And then his buddy is apparently the Flash and Punisher mixed into one package. Just perform a heat action where he slams this dude's face into a grill. All before his friends even know what's going on. I guess his buddies were like, well, if Cholo Dan is gonna go kicking dogs again, I may as well check my reels. And then after he's done manhandling this guy's face into a grill in a span of 4 microseconds, he just RP walks away. And his friends are like, we're gangsters apparently. Maybe we should do something about this. No, that man is not to be fucked with. He's not your average everyday gangster. He's an angry civilian. Breaking. Head coach Nick Sirianni bans Taylor Swift from attending all Philadelphia Eagles games after blaming her as the main cause of the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl 2024 defeat. See full article in the comments. Nah, somehow I doubt that. Also, gotta respect the hustle of trying to combine 2 unrelated pictures together to make them seem related. Sirianni's all like, what you doing here? What are you doing here? Get out of here! Get out of here! Ya witch! Ya bad luck charm! And then she's all like, oh my god, I'm wiping my eyes. Also, damn, I didn't know coaches had authority like that. I didn't know how real it was to be a coach, that you could just ban people from attending all games of your team. I want to know how much funding goes into banning people from football games. You can't watch it in person. We got drones everywhere that we hooked your face up to for auto recognition. We got your driver's license, we got your social media posts, we got your birth pictures, we got your family albums uploaded to all those drones, who will strike if they see you. You're just lucky he didn't ban you from the streams too. Now get out of here. For context, I'm a brony. I was walking around wearing my Applejack shirt and Boney. I was walking around wearing my Applejack shirt and pony pins on my label when a scary looking guy walked past me. He looked like a Euphoria character with a huge tattoo that read, "No Mercy," on his neck. It looked like he was in jail before. Anyway, he yelled, "Hey you!" at me and ran over. He gave me this look Tagat could melt ice and I saw him clench his fist. I was afraid he was going to shoot me with his fists or punch me with his gun or something. But he held out his fist and said, "Bro hoof, my brother. Bro hoof." Well, I think that's kind of lucky. I mean, you acquired a homicidal biker companion for being a brony. That's not a bad score for what bearing that label usually entails. Although this might be from like 2014. I haven't heard of bronies since like I graduated high school. I remember when this stuff was so everywhere that you could probably name all the horses without watching a single episode just from the media that like it would consume. If you were playing TF2, if you were playing Call of Duty, if you were watching YouTube poops, if you were gooning, My Little Pony was there, and you could not escape. Precious letter from my family today. What a great way to start a vacation day. Yes, Amazon changed our lives in just 10 years. Thank you all, authentic leaders. Dear Daddy, Today does not only mark 10 years of working at Amazon, it also marks 10 years of hard work, determination, dedication, and playing hard after working very, very hard. You joining Amazon on August 4th, 2015 has added so much to our lives. Thank you, Daddy. Did I mention he's only 4 years old? Nah, your son did not write this. You wrote this yourself. The penmanship is way too neat for somebody that still says daddy. And my penmanship is worse than that. So I think that logic can loop back somewhere and I'll be able to say, I know what I'm talking about. Hell, even the punctuation is dead proper. Unless your child was born 6, I don't believe they wrote this. The last picture of my cousin Nicole before she fell off the balcony down 50 floors. She was splashed all over the ground. That's why you don't smoke crack on the balcony while 3 guys. Rest in peace, cousin. Wow, she was just so, aesthetically chill for someone high off their mind on crack. Even had the white wine out and a book on the coffee table. That's also extremely nice for a crack den. Drug addicts need to step up their game.